White people blame us for their problems. Let me give you a prime example. I'm in Roseburg, Oregon, right? You got a bunch of white meth addicts. They can't stop doing meth. They love meth. Meth is like water to them. And they blame black people for that. I hired a farmhand who was she identifies as a white guy, but he's fucking Hispanic. And he's sitting there talking about how I used to have problems with black people because we used to blame them for their problems. You're blaming us for your problems. They are so used to us being slaves. They are so used to us cleaning their fucking houses, taking care of their goddamn kids, tending to their fucking fields, to the point where they cannot function on their own. Many of them, they're like children, like stupid, meth addict, inbred children. So I want you to understand something, right? Some of the animosity that you're seeing, like in places like Roseburg, Oregon, very, very white town, it's because they can't stop doing meth. They can't stop banging their fucking sister, so they want to blame you for it, for their own bullshit meth-fueled actions.
One thing I love about some of these videos is the MAGA people that are making these apology videos for voting for this administration. This one is funny. It's quick. She's like, I just won't say I'm sorry. I have to vote for him.
I need to say I'm sorry. I voted for him.
I'm real sorry. I didn't know. I thought he was going to make things better for us.
I thought he was going to help folks like me. I really did.
Now my staff's gone. I came back with my groceries. I can't put my lights on. First of all, the groceries you shouldn't worry about. Anyway, I just can't believe it now.
They cut off my heat and help last week. I don't know how I'm supposed to buy groceries next month or keep the lights on.
Now, what about my diabetes? My diabetes, man, is acting up. Can't feel my foot, can't feel my feet, and I didn't even devour the do.
Now my SNAP's gone, my Medicaid's gone.
Get out of here. This is what you voted for. You voted because you thought black people were going to get f***ed, didn't you? Black folks, especially black Americans, have been living with nothing for the longest time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about growing frustration that is playing out across social media and political discussions. Many MAGA supporters are struggling. The cost of living is high. Housing costs are squeezing families. Groceries seem more expensive every day. Healthcare remains unaffordable for millions of Americans. Fuel prices continue to create anxiety. And many people are wondering why life feels harder than they expected. But according to many black commentators, something strange is happening. Instead of questioning the politicians and policies they supported, some frustrated MAGA voters are turning their anger toward black Americans. And black Americans are responding with one message that they warned you and you failed to listen. So let's talk about it.
One thing I love about some of these videos is the MAGA people that are making these apology videos for voting for this administration. This one is funny. It's quick. She's like, I just won't say I'm sorry. I have to vote for him.
I need to say I'm sorry. I voted for him.
I'm real sorry. I didn't know. I thought he was going to make things better for us.
I thought he was going to help folks like me. I really did.
Now my staff's gone. I came back with my groceries. I can't put my lights on. First of all, the groceries you shouldn't worry about. Anyway, I just can't believe it now.
They cut off my heat and help last week. I don't know how I'm supposed to buy groceries next month or keep the lights on.
Now, what about my diabetes? My diabetes, man, is acting up. Can't feel my foot, can't feel my feet, and I didn't even devour the do.
Now my SNAP's gone, my Medicaid's gone.
Get out of here. This is what you voted for. You voted because you thought black people were going to get f***ed, didn't you? Black folks, especially black Americans, have been living with nothing for the longest time. So surviving is very, very easy. Very easy. You understand? That's why black folks are playing it smart. We're moving as a unit. You know, other than some of the sellout. But other than that, black people are moving in a way where we're not even being bothered. Oh my God. Oh my God, the country's in shambles. Oh, they're being unfair. Black folks are like, yo, man, I'm going to Costco. What you about to do? So, hey, man, it is what it is. You voted for your own demise. And that's just the way it goes.
There is absolutely nothing that MAGA folks won't blame on people of color. Not because folks of color are actually to blame for any of those things, but because it's all MAGA knows. If you're out of work, must be because an immigrant of color or a black person took your job. If your taxes are too high, it must be because of welfare payments going to those people. Never mind the contradiction of saying that they take all the jobs, but also take none of the jobs because they're too busy relying on welfare rather than working. It can't be both, guys. You got to pick a lane, right? Kid didn't get into the college you wanted? Well, must be because a person of color got preferential treatment and stole their slot, even though the Supreme Court has essentially ended race-based affirmative action. You can't afford a home? Well, it must be because immigrants are taking all the homes and driving up the cost. Forget for a minute that they're also the ones building most of the homes, thereby driving down the cost, but, whatever. Scared of crime? Well, it must be because black and brown folks and migrants are making the cities unsafe. Forget for a minute that crime has actually dropped, even as immigration has gone up, and immigrants have lower crime rates than American citizens, but, whatever. When the pandemic hit, oh yeah, that was the fault of Asians, people of color, and their open air markets. When a door flew off a plane a couple years ago, Elon blamed it on a DEI program for pilots. And when a barge brought down a bridge in Baltimore, the right blamed it on the DEI mayor, which is just their new word for the N-word. To MAGA, white folks are never to blame for anything. Black and brown folks are to blame for everything. Why? Because MAGA is a racist cult. If your answer for every problem in America is people of color, you're a racist by definition. If your answer is Jews, you're a Nazi. And in either case, you deserve to be crushed utterly and without pity or mercy.
They used to eat black people. So to be in such an uproar and outrage as we watch America unfold its historical behaviors, it's interesting because there's an entire book on how to make a black person into a delicatessen. And so if they used to eat us, do you understand their mentality, the sociopathic mentality that they have? So it's not new for us to see strange fruit hanging, tear gassing middle schools, unaliving people in broad daylight anywhere at their homes at any time of the day, and nothing happens. This is not new to us. What exactly did you think Trump meant when he said, make America great again? Did you think he meant make it great again? No, he meant go back to the times where there was strange fruit hanging. You can unalive people in the middle of the street, spray them with hoses and let dogs eat them. He's taken us back to where our ancestors already been. You guys are in an uproar, and you guys know who I'm talking about. We've been trying to tell you this for centuries, and all you did was call us, oh, you guys are acting like victims, let it go. Well, now you see. History always repeats itself because this is a narcissistic system, and they will do whatever they need to do to maintain power and control. So now, do you see clearly what we, us black, original people, have been trying to tell you? This is a part of the reason why they keep us divided, so you won't believe nothing that we say. Well, now you get to see it. We ain't got to say nothing.
Black people are being blamed for homicides that occurred because of COVID-19. There are multiple government agencies that are holding black people responsible for the homicides that occurred directly because of COVID and the 5 years that followed. If you don't want to listen to the rest of this video, that's fine. But I need you to understand how serious that sentiment is. And if you follow any creators that talk on politics or have taken the position of educating the public, I need you to go and comment on their videos and ask them to start looking into this because it's serious. I cannot find anybody talking about it, and we need to take it for what it is, at its face, and actively go against this rhetoric. Let me explain. Currently, places like the CDC and the FBI are giving information to a company or nonprofit called the Murder Accountability Project, as well as the U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary and the U.S. House of Representatives Document Repository, the Federalist Society, and a ton of journalists and politicians are reporting that the 30% spike that we saw in homicide rates in May of 2020 is directly because of the George Floyd murder and BLM riots. That is the narrative. Not only did it increase the homicides in May of 2020, but it's also saying that the reason why homicide rate was so high up until 2024 was all in direct correlation to those riots. This may not seem like a big deal. It may seem like, okay, well, who cares if that's what they want to say? We know it's not true. No, because this is how this starts. It would be really easy for this to be the rhetoric, and then all stats and research that's done following this supports and is founded on this rhetoric. And so then 10 years from now, it'd be super simple to say, oh, look at all this info and all of this research that we did. Now we can go ahead and start making policies that end protests like this, that stop people for being able to gather for this reason. They do not want to take responsibility for COVID-19. They do not want to take responsibility for our government and our economics and our society being the way that it is. And that people are so fed up and done and broke and tired that violence is occurring. They do not want to take responsibility for the fact that more homicides go unsolved because people are afraid to call the police. Instead, they want to once again rewrite our history to blame Black people for something that has absolutely nothing to do with them. In fact, a lot of the journalists and politicians and lawyers and everyone that I see writing about this from that side, that rhetoric, is saying, oh, we know that these homicides have nothing to do with COVID-19 because the homicides spike didn't start until May. Yeah, of course it dropped in March. People were terrified. They were terrified to leave their house. They did not know what was happening. It wasn't until May, June, July, when domestic violence situations got incredibly violent. More murders occurred because at that point they had been locked in their house with their spouse for 2 months. It wasn't until May in the summer when people really started feeling the financial repercussions of being locked down, losing their jobs, not having any more unemployment money, not being paid out their last paychecks, no more PTO to collect on. We all know that homicides increase when finances are bad. No, they don't want to take responsibility for any of those things. Instead, they want to sit here and they want to blame Black people and they want to blame the BLM movement for the increase in homicide rates for the last 5 years. This is a big deal, and we need to be consistently fighting this rhetoric. Otherwise, it is going to get very, very easy for them to then continue researching and continue writing and continue talking like this, so much so that 5-10 years from now, we'll take it as truth. We'll take it as truth because we allowed them to research, we allowed them to write these things, we allowed this to be posted on government websites. And if you allow something to exist for that long, people will take it as truth. It will become fact, even though we know it is not. So we need to be talking about this and actively fighting against this. This is anti-racism at its core, and it needs to be the forefront of conversation. So I will continue to talk about this until people start taking it seriously. And I hope that folks with big platforms that are more educated than me can speak on this more than I can. Political influencers, all of those people. I need you to go and tag them. Don't mention me. I don't need anything on my video, but I need y'all to go encourage the people that have an audience to be talking about this. We can't not let them rewrite our history again and again right in front of our faces.
The same fucking people who told Black Americans to stop whining about slavery, stop whining about reparations, stop whining about affirmative action, stop whining about systemic racism, and saying that racism doesn't exist anymore, are the first motherfuckers who are rushing to change the congressional maps so they can try to get an advantage in the following midterms coming up. Racism has always existed, motherfuckers. And you're proving their point. Fuck you, MAGA. Fuck you, MAGA Republicans. You guys are fucking disgusting pieces of shit. And you're not fucking Christians. And you deserve to go to hell and burn like a motherfucker. Yeah, that's what every normal, rational American is thinking. Because you guys are fucking disgusting human beings.
Let me know what you think about it in the comments below.
Black Americans, we must never forget the era of the felon-in-chief, MAGA, and the Republicans. How the felon-in-chief made white people feel very comfortable in expressing their racism blatantly. And in fact, because of crowdfunding platforms like GoFundMe, many of them who have been censured by the public, like losing their jobs in their positions because of their racism, they know they can run over to these platforms and raise thousands of dollars, more money than they probably ever had before. That's what happened in the case of that racist white woman that worked at Cinnabon that was so racist to that Somali, calling them nigger and stating that she was racist. Yeah, she ran right over to GoFundMe and now has raised $75,000, probably even more at the time of this recording. The same with that white woman in the park that called that black child a chimpanzee. And racists set up a crowdfunding campaign for her and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for her. But mark my words, the felon in chief won't be in power forever. And I know it already has felt like 1,000 years, but he won't, y'all. The Republicans won't be in power forever. I don't know what the United States of America will look like once their time ends, but I do know this, that they are already realizing that they have hitched their fortunes to a now sinking ship. And so you're going to see more of these racist MAGA Republicans try to rebrand, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I personally believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene has her eyes set on the presidency. And so she is trying to rebrand herself as a more sympathetic, compassionate racist and bigot. And she will not be alone. Now, in terms of the general public, many, not all, of course, but many white Americans who have become so comfortable with being blatantly racist, showing who they really are, they're going to try to put the mask back on. All of these companies, when it is no longer profitable for them to be as racist as they have always been, the same companies that 5 years ago pledged support to the Black American community because of the Black Lives Matter movement that ignited over the lynching of George Floyd, almost every last one of those companies has reneged on those promises, which many of we Black Americans saw that coming. That's not a shock. But when it is no longer profitable for them to eliminate DEI and fire Black American employees, they're going to go on a PR campaign to rehabilitate their image unlike you've ever seen. Don't forget. Don't let anyone forget. Don't forget how trees in this country still bear strange fruit. Do not forget how police brutality continues in our communities. Do not forget all of the blatant racism that has been expressed towards us. Let's not forget those who stood with white supremacy, thinking that somehow proximity will get them grandfathered in. We, as we move forward, Black Americans, must never forget. And even whenever this era is over, and all of a sudden, everyone tries to claim that they are allies and supporters of the Black American community, because I know it doesn't seem like it, but that time is going to come sooner or later. We must never forget.
This is what psychological slavery looks like. Take a listen.
Trump is the first Black president. Amen. Because he's the first one that has actually addressed issues in the Black community. Like, Obama didn't do it. He said it, not me. I mean, in my lifetime, I've gone through Clinton, Bush, and Obama. Neither of them have done anything. They certainly haven't advocated for responsibility and taking ownership of your own life and knowing that you are an individual and that in America, you have freedom. We defined you as free. They didn't even put America first. Yeah, guys. You know, Donald J. Trump puts America first. So you gotta love that, man. Awesome. Got to. You guys, this event is absolutely incredible. What's happening in this country, what's happening here in the heart of Los Angeles, California. We are flipping California red. We are taking America back for red, white, and blue. All colors, all flavors, all races, all religions. It's all e pluribus unum, from the many one. We are one people, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For all. 4 more years. 4 more years for Trump.
Okay, so let's be real now. This isn't about a brother in a MAGA hat, right? This is about a disease in our community, a deep generational brainwashing that makes us defend the very system that was built to keep us down. That is not freedom, my brothers and sisters. That is psychological slavery. When I see a black man calling Trump the first black president, I don't see pride. I see pain that has not been processed. I see somebody who's been so down by the system, so hungry for identity, that he grabs the first thing that makes him feel powerful, even if it's a lie. Let me say this loud and clear. Trump is not and never will be the first black president. He's the first to convince some of us that our liberation lies in submission. He's the first to wear racism in plain sight while using black faces as political props to say, see, I can't be racist. And some of y'all fell for it hard. But it's not just him. It's a systemic strategy. Replace our history with propaganda. Feed us toxic masculinity and call it strength. Preach personal responsibility while defunding our schools, stealing our votes, locking us up, and calling our leaders thugs. That's not love, y'all. That's manipulation. Now, don't get me wrong. We have every right to criticize past Democratic leaders, even Obama. But please don't ever confuse critique with betrayal. Don't sell your soul to the same movement that would have had your grandmother picking cotton with a smile just because they told you you're different. You want to be a patriot? Cool, be one. But please don't co-sign a man who banned DEI programs, praised Confederate statues, refused to say Black Lives Matter, told the police to rough up suspects, aka us, and tried to erase the teachings of slavery and racism in schools. You can't wear a red hat and act like you represent freedom when you're parroting white nationalism in black skin. The truth is, this behavior is not confusion. It's survival trauma. It's what happens when we've been lied to so long, we start mistaking our oppressor for our protector. But here's the truth. Responsibility without justice is just obedience. Patriotism without truth is just propaganda. And loyalty to a man who wouldn't defend your humanity, that's not love, bro. That's captivity. And to all my people now, this is bigger than him. We gotta stop laughing at this and start healing from this. Because this is not comedy. This is conditioning. So this is something I want to challenge you to do. Study your history. Guard your mind. Speak truth in love, but never sugarcoat reality. And when you see a brother or sister lost in that MAGA fog, don't just roast them, reach for them. Because if we don't educate our own, they're going to keep weaponizing our ignorance against us. We are not props. We are not pawns. We are not confused. We are the descendants of warriors, revolutionaries, kings, queens, and freedom fighters. Act like it. Speak like it.
Long before election day, political debates were everywhere, good people. Supporters promised economic growth. Critics raised concerns. Supporters believed better times were coming with MAGA government. But Black Americans warned that campaigns' promises don't always become reality. Their arguments were simple. Don't blindly trust politicians. Ask tough questions. Follow the policies. Pay attention to who benefits. Because politicians often make promises to ordinary voters while maintaining close relationship with powerful interests. But at the time, MAGA people dismissed those warnings. They were told everything will be different. They were told prosperity was around the corner. They were told relief was coming. But fast forward today, many Americans are facing economic pressure. Families are stretching every dollar. And housing costs remain a major burden. Healthcare costs continue rising. Food prices have become a source of constant frustration. Many workers feel like they are running faster but getting nowhere. And when expectations collide with reality, disappointment must follow. For some voters, the promises they believed will transform their lives haven't produced the results they expected. And as frustration grows, many people are searching for answers. And unfortunately, some are searching for someone to blame, and they now blame the black folks. From my understanding, this conversation becomes irrational. Because Black Americans did not create inflation, they did not create housing shortages, they did not create high health costs, they did not create expensive groceries, and they are not even responsible for the financial struggles facing millions of working class Americans. Yet some MAGAs claim that instead of holding their leaders accountable, they are directing their frustration and anger toward Black Americans. But the response from many Black voices have been blunt. They were not the problem. Instead, they warned you. They told you to pay attention. In other words, many feel they are being blamed for delivering a message that people simply did not want to hear. Many political observers say the real question is not about race, it's about accountability. If voters are unhappy with the economic condition, who should they hold responsible? Is it the neighbors living next door, or the people making decisions that affect taxes, spending, regulations, healthcare, housing, and economic policy? That's the debate many Americans should be having right now. What we must understand is that the politicians from all sides often overpromise and underdeliver, and blaming a certain group of people for nationwide economic challenges rarely solves anything. Many Black Americans say they have seen this pattern before. Whenever economic hardship strikes, people often look for convenient targets. History shows that periods of economic stress frequently lead to finger pointing. And instead of examining complex systems, some people search for simple explanations. But complex problems usually have complex causes. That's why many Black commentators aren't surprised by the current debate. They are saying they are watching a familiar cycle unfold once again. Promises, disappointment, frustration, and then the search for someone else to put the blame on. Looking at this situation, one thing stands out that Americans are hurting. People are worried about their futures. They are worried about paying bills. They are worried about raising their families. They are worried about retirement and economic stability. Those concerns are real. But if people genuinely want solution, the conversation has to focus on policies, leadership, economic decisions, and accountability. Because blaming entire communities for complicated economic problem does not lower prices. It does not reduce rent. It does not make healthcare cheaper. And it does not solve the challenges families are facing every day. What do you think? Do you believe Americans are focusing on the real causes of their economic struggles? Should voters spend more time evaluating policies and less time blaming on one another? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.